There. Okay. Again, welcome po to everybody. Welcome to Online Healing Community. Welcome to Rem Tanawan's workshop on Words Beyond Words. Pakilala ko lang po si Rem. I know a lot of you know him already. That's why you're here. But for the other people, I'd like to just introduce our facilitator for today. Rem Tanawan started writing poetry at the age of 11. And in 2008, he became a fellow of Linangan sa Imahen, Retorika at Anyo o Lira. Later, he self-studied poetry, experimented on Tanaga, which is a Filipino traditional poetic form, and principles of writing haiku. Today, he has been teaching poetry for well-being through his 9-week poetry course called Tungko ng Tula. And Rem is also a trained Ginhawa facilitator, art of hosting practitioner, translator, decision-making coach, and Yijing consultant. And he keeps on writing poetry for his personal well-being. And so that's what you'll expect also today. Poetry, I love that. Poetry for personal well-being. Okay, so please help me welcome Rem Tanawan. Thank you, Rem, for being here.
Hello. Thank you, Karen, and thank you, everyone. Friends and new friends, salamat po for being here. I'm so happy and so excited about sharing about poetry, as always. And magandang hapon po. So, I guess most of us are Filipino, so pwede akong mag-code switch, Filipino, English. So yun po, ayan, people are coming in, thank you. Ayan. So catch up lang po kayo. So ako po si Rem Tanawan, and I love poetry. Sulat lang ng sulat, no? Sabi ko nga kay Karen, kanina, nung last natin na live, I keep on writing right na parang nagda-download lang sila. 2-3 poems. Actually, kagabi parang 4 atay na sulat ko. So, so lumalabas lang sila. So, it's so, and I really intend na for those of you who are here to activate that flow. So, masaya kasi, masaya siyang gawin. So, whenever I begin my sessions, my workshop, I always begin with a moment of pagpapaginhawa. So that's the first lesson actually. Let me show my screen. Okay. One moment po, saglit lang. Ayun. Okay. So, yeah. So words beyond words. So the first steps that we're gonna do is, I call this pagpapaginhawa because we feel the well-being at the moment. So first lesson, all sounds start with silence. So we're gonna have this moment of silence. And then the second lesson is all words start with breath. In fact, whenever you speak, it's always an exhale. No? So pag inhale mo, that's your silence. When you exhale, you speak. So they go hand in hand. So when you get still, be silent, be quiet, and then you take a breath. And another word for breath is ginhawa. It's Ilocano. It means breath. So what we're gonna do is to breathe. I'm gonna hit my bell po. And can you hear it? So hit ko po ng isang beses for the silence, and then another round for the breath. And we'll give thanks to all our blessing, and then there's a third bell, and then we can move on. Sige po. So settle lang po kayo. You can close your eyes, and at this moment, just find your inner quiet, your inner silence. Pananahimik lang po. You can feel your heartbeat if you want. You can listen to the sounds around you. You're just feeling your body settling down, feeling all your body parts getting relaxed at this point. Letting go of all your concerns. If they come to your mind, let them pass. And we pay attention to our natural breath. So Just let it pass, breathing in, breathing out. The natural breath in your nostrils, the warmth of your breath, of life going in, coming out. And then let's go together by breathing in together. Breathing in deeply. And you can hold it for a while and breathe out. Breathing in, hold it, and breathe out. Another round, breathe in, hold it, and then breathe out. Relax and find some time to think about the things you're grateful for at this moment, the blessings that you received, the gifts that you had, and the blessings that you're about to receive. So it's good to be grateful at this very moment. If you're ready po, you can open your eyes. Mulat lang po ng mata. And just relax. And now you're being present. And um, thank you for that first lesson for all of us. Salamat po. Okay. So I'd like to begin also with Alakbay Loob, an inner journey. The first important thing we need to remember is that all poetry starts from truth. Your truth, by the way. So the truth of you experiencing, witnessing life. Ano po. So first things first, the question that we would like to ask is, what is poetry for you? So ano po yung dumadating sa'yo pag naisip mo yung salitang tula? O, ano yung naranasan mo dati at hanggang ngayon ay hindi mo malimutan? Gaano katotoo sa'yo ang tula? What do you feel or think about it? And you can write it down, or maybe you can share it in the chat box. And then you can also share us what you feel. Ano? Medyo score natin ng konti. So 0 is you don't feel not so good about it. And then 5, you feel very good about it. So yun lang po yung range natin. So you can, I invite you to just share kung ano yung inyong nararamdaman. Pwede nyo rin, isulat nyo lang din sa inyong notebook, journal, or in your digital devices. So, sige lang po. By doing so, we are tapping into how we perceive poetry first. No? Ano bang poetry para sa atin? Sige po. Give me a second po, saglit. Okay. So, at this point po, while you are, if you've written something, ano po, I invite you to describe what you feel. It's a description. Is it an object? Is it an animal? Or is it an event? Or a fantastic ritual? So try mo lang pong i-describe yung nafe-feel mo about poetry. So for example, if you've written, I feel, for example, in my case, I feel that poetry is something that it's hard to write. Now, the image that comes to me and the description that I always see is these two shadowy gigantic proctors ano po, na nakaabang sa likod ko. Lagi sila nakamasid. Kung kung anong itsura ng tula. kung tama ba yung sinusulat ko. Yan. So I always experience this, and over time bago ko na panghawakan yung voice ko and yung pagtula ko, no. Ang hirap ng experience na yun kasi parang feeling mo lagi may nakabantay, no. So for you, ano po yung experience mo when it comes to poetry, anong image ang dumadating sa'yo. Pwedeng it can be positive or negative. That's up to you po. Again, it's your truth. Ano po. It is how you experience it. Wala pong pwedeng makakontra ng truth mo kasi truth mo yan eh. So yun po. So just be honest on paper. That's okay. Wala naman pong babasa yan. I hope we can do some breakout session, but let's play it by ear. In the meantime po, we'll just follow through our process right now and make it as more of an inner journey. So, okay. So yeah. So kumusta po kayo? Anyone can share some notes on the chat box if you want. Kung di naman po kayo komportable, that's okay. Again, my approach to poetry is always whatever is true for you at the moment. Ano po yung maginhawa sa iyo, pinakamahalaga yun. At ang mahalaga rin yung may kalayaan ka pumili kung ano yung kung anong gusto mong maranasan, because poetry is it's a choice. It's a choice of your experience as well. So, okay, so let's explore more on poetry. And the first thing that I want to, this first three sort of definition for poetry po. So poetry is, so we have 3 points here, the personal, the genre, and the insight. The personal po muna because we're dealing with a very raw truth in us. Katotohanan po natin. Kung ano yung naranasan natin, ano yung nasaksihan natin, ano yung bagay na realizations natin. So, dahil personal po siya, this is an expression of your truth in words. So, mahalaga pong tandaan natin to. Kasi kung ang definition ninyo, halimbawa, ang naisip ninyo, ang tula ay lesson in literature, for example. Well, that's true. But then, deep down, poetry, this is a truth expressed in words. Pag binalikan mo po yung mga buhay ng mga nagsulat, they're always striving, if not completely successful doing so in expressing their truth. So, but then there's always a striving, it's always an effort, there's always a journey of expressing their truth in words. At ang poetry po ay yun ang kanyang mahalagang ginagampanan sa buhay natin. This is why it's very cultural for us. It is something na hindi kayang kontrolin ng institutions, ng ibang tao. So it's only within our hands because this is our truth. This is how we witness truth. As a genre, it's a chosen words in chosen order. I think I've read this from one poet, and he defined it that way. And ako, I agree with this because more than anything else, it is the way you see the words on paper. Ito yung pinili mong salita because that is your truth. And ito yung order na gusto mong i-express siya. So it boils down with the power of your choice. And always remember that the thing is with choice is that if somebody else controls your choice, then that is a violation of being human. In all aspects of morality and ethics. Pagka may kumontrol sa choice mo, merong nagmanipula sa'yo, then you are less human. Pero pag napanghawakan mo yung choice mo, then you are experiencing your humanity. So ang poetry po hindi lang literature, kundi an exercise of our humanity. Mamaya, metatouch ko rin yan. So yung insight po for poetry, definition of poetry is being in touch with the wordless. We're gonna explore on this more. Medyo, as I mentioned last time sa live, sa conversation namin ni Karen, the wordless somehow sounds mystical, spiritual, or esoteric. But then, the truth is, nabanggit ko nga po last time na we physically we are not connected in terms of our bodies, no? You have your own nervous system. I have my own nervous system. But we are connected by this energy of sound, this energy of light, and we are interacting because of them. Katulad po nito, malayo po tayo sa isa't isa. Nandiyan po kayo sa lugar ninyo. Narito po ako sa lugar sa akin. Pero nagkakaroon tayo ng interaction because of this energy that is beyond words. We cannot touch it. We cannot even write it. But then we're always in touch. So kung titingnan niyo po, it's the nature of things, yung wordlessness po. Okay, moving on po. Let's take a deep breath for that. Yes.
Rem, the
yes.
people are responding.
Oh yeah,
sa chat box.
sorry po. Sige po.
Kasi ask them, diba, about what poetry is.
Oh yes.
You want me to read it to you?
Yes, thank you.
Well, I said that I missed writing. There's a heaviness in my heart now that I'm acknowledging that I don't have time or I don't find time to write poetry nowadays.
Yes. Yeah.
And Noel is saying, poetry is like climbing a mountain. At pag akyat sa taas, naisisigaw ko yung ano man ang isinasaloob ko, parang sigaw sa kawalan. Ang ganda naman.
Thank you. Thank you, Noel.
And Ira is saying, poetry is like a paradox. It's intimate, personal, yet it could be magical. It could transcend the rules of time and space. It evokes feelings of love, grandeur, and magicism, I guess.
Yeah.
I saying poetry is the heartbeat of the universe.
Thank you. Thank you. There's a physicist who wrote a book with the same thought that you have, Argel. Thank you. Sorry, Ai pala. So sa heartbeat of the universe. And Argel also mentioned something. Yeah.
Poetry is getting in touch with an image within.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the responses po. So and you have beautiful insights. And if we have that condition and moment to explore the power of words in us, lalabas tong mga to naglalabasan sila. So totoo lang. It's very natural for us to have this kind of relationship with words. And salamat po sa mga responses. So in continuation of our class, but before that, let's take a deep breath, everyone. So as usual, I usually punctuate my classes with the breath. So I'll ring my bell and let's take a deep breath, everyone. So breathing in and breathing out. Isa pa po, breathing in and breathing out. Ayan, salamat po.
Rem, there's a question.
Yes, sige po.
You mentioned the physicist. Sino raw yung physicist who said that poetry is the heartbeat of the universe?
I forgot the author, sorry, but I'm gonna find the book kasi I was just browsing this books so may nakita akong title, The Poetry of the Universe something. So he's discussing about physics. So interesting. Later on, if I can find it later, sige po, subukan kong hanapin. And then I'll send to you the title. So yeah. Salamat, Ai. Thank you. But I think the physicists are poets as well because they tap into that secret that we don't usually understand. No? So, and the difference with poets is that the poets are tapping into that through words, while the physicists are through numbers. So anyway, sige po. So continuing with our personal genre and insight definitions. The personal, when we say, of course, primarily it's an inner work. Ano po? Inner work in a sense that we're dealing with something deeper in us. Ano po? The haiku poets, for example, for them to make sense of what they feel, they look into nature. And then whatever they see in nature, whatever that strikes their attention, and they will put their pure attention to it. Yung po yung susulat nila. They're gonna write down, and that's the poetry that will embody the inner experience. Nagsasanib na po yung labas at loob. So, but then primarily we pay attention to what is happening inside. So that goes with your emotion, everything that you define as inner. Ano po? Usually psychology, philosophy mo, beliefs, emotions. everything that is real in you, hindi mo mahawakan, but then it's true for you, then this is a very potent source. These are potent source of poetry. Primarily, that is the matrix of poetry itself. So this is why po we encourage, personally, I encourage my students, my friends, whenever they tap in, go back to poetry or master poetry in the process, is ito po yung unang ginagawa, ano, na pagbabalik sa loob. I remember an author, meron siyang, ang unang exercise sa kanila ng isang poet is pinagbalat sila ng sibuyas. Tapos hindi po sila naiyak sa sibuyas. Naiyak sila dahil yung proseso ng pagbabalat ng sarili nila, pagtalop ng sarili nila, hanggang sa pinakaubod ng sibuyas. So that's our first thing about poetry. In genre wise, ito po yung naging insight natin last live conversation, that there's a relationship with space, ano, ang tula, poetry. Pag nakita mo siya sa papel, you're not just reading the words, you're also reading the entire space where the words are. So saan po siya nakapwesto sa page. So alam mo na tula yun because there's a relationship with space, the white space in the page, on the page. And then insight wise, it's a process of meaning making. Dahil meron tayong sinusort, dahil we are in touch with our truth, sinusort out natin yung proseso na yon. We're relating to it through words. Then we're creating the meaning. Para kang mga hobby, for example, na kung abaka yung gamit mo, syempre aayusin mo muna, lilinisin mo yung dahon, kakayasin mo, kukunin mo yung fiber hanggang sa magamit mo for weaving. So yun po yung process, ano. Yun yung malalim nating pagtingin sa poetry, yan po. Okay, so going back po dun sa mga description ninyo, no. So kung mapansin niyo po, how you describe poetry or how you describe your truth, ano po, that is your unique experience. I remember a travel writer said that kahit may nakapunta ng ibang travel writer sa lugar na yon, halimbawa pumunta siya sa say for example sa Japan, for example, at meron siyang sinulat tungkol doon, no? Yun, karanasan niya yun. Kahit paparehong lugar yung pinuntahan niyo. So iba pa rin yung magiging karanasan mo pag pumunta ka sa lugar na yun. At iba pa rin ang magiging istorya mo at may susulat mo. So napaka-unique po ng experience mo. So we have to honor this uniqueness. Ano po? And naturally, we have unique DNA, we have unique fingerprints. Ano po? And also our uniqueness in every moment of our lives and our interaction with people and our experience moment to moment. This is very unique. So by recognizing this already, you have potential way of enriching your poetry. Genre-wise, it's the words that you say and write. So sa paraan po na pagkakasabi mo, whether it's conversational, it's formal, halimbawa, as long as you have this kind of attention with words, ano po, you develop this attention with words, your voice, ano po, your language. I encourage multilingual poetry. Kung gamitin mo yung ibang words na alam mo o from different language or dialect, no? So gamitin mo, ako po ay Batanggenyo, so madalas ko pong ginagamit yung dialect ko sa Batangas, ano? And hindi rin po ako nahihiyang gumamit ng English sa tula ko. So because this is how I grew up, working with my language. So we honor our language. Napakahalaga po nun. Yung araw-araw mo, may narinig kang usapan sa kapitbahay, halimbawa. Yun pa lang, ano na yun, unique unique na paggagamitan mo na ng words sa poetry po. So yan. So tingnan mo rin kung paano mo siya sinulat, halimbawa. Kung paano ka magsulat. Yung naririnig mong boses pag nagsusulat ka. So yun po. And of course, your sense and imagination. Ito po yung insight natin. So yung senses mo, hindi lang po mata at tenga, no? Pati yung texture, panlasa, pangamoy, marami pang sense, may sixth sense pa, di ba? So, ang daming possibilities of really interacting with nature, with reality, with physical reality, with our everyday experience. No? And of course, because we are getting all this information outside of us, then we have the capacity to synthesize them in our mind's eye. That's our imagination. And the power of imagination is our seed of creativity. Dun po sa ano na yun yung sinasabi nila na mataba ang utak. Ano? And then we create these idioms to give sense of that experience. Pero kung tutuusin, we all have that. It's all inherent in us. It's just a matter of giving us, using the right tools and practicing it more. So yeah. So take note of what you have described a while ago. So yung paraan mo po na pag-express niyan is already poetry in a sense. So why poetry? Personal is universal. I remember when sinundan ko po si Bong Joon-ho nung nanalo siya sa Oscars. And then sabi niya, kanino ka ba gumagawa ng pelikula? Ang tanong sa kanya sa interview. Sabi niya, para daw sa sarili niya. Sa pagiging Korean niya, yung sa experience. In fact, the story of Parasite, yung nanalo sa Oscar, was an experience of him as a tutor of English to a rich family. So that's interesting. Hinugot niya mismo sa kanyang karanasan. Ano po. And kung mapapansin niyo, yung mga bagay na nagugustuhan yung storya o tula o kanta, ang pagka binalikan niyo yung mga backstories niyan, they're so rich because nanggaling sila sa karanasan mismo ng may akda. The rich author's experience informs so much about their work. Ano po? We resonate with the personal because it's universal. Whenever we touch with the personal, we are touching with our humanity, and that's universal in all of us. Of course, when we touch with the universal in us, we are able to inspire insight so that we can express our humanity more. Ano yung storya natin? Ano yung creativity natin? So yeah, sunod-sunod po yan eh. So yung creativity is our birthright. So as we tap into that capacity to express, then we are realizing the power of our creativity. Marami pala tayong pwedeng likhain. Hindi lang pala tayo consumer ng creativity ng ibang tao. We are farmers, gardeners of creativity, alam mo yan, artists of creativity. Kaya nating mag-create. This is why a lot of, and that's the sense of abundance in us, no? Nasa loob po natin. Just like a simple tree na every time meron siyang rhythm na magbubunga talaga siya, mamumulaklak, mamumunga. Sa nature po, makikita mo yung abundance na yun. And that abundance is also in us. And what's the most obvious creation that we can make? A lot of art forms, but of course, primarily words mismo. Ano po. So yeah. So let me read some examples of authors, of poets. Ano po. First thing is by Joseph Hutchison. It's entitled Artichoke. Ano po. This is one of my favorite kasi one-liner poem lang po ito. Isang linya. Interesting. Artichoke. O heart, weighed down by so many wings. O heart, weighed down by so many wings. Tinranslate ko po sa Filipino, o pusong pinabigat ng napakaraming pakpak. Sobrang pagkabasa ko nito, ramdam na ramdam ko yung artichoke po kasi is gulay, ano, na para siyang rose. Pag tinignan mo, mukha talaga siyang pakpak. Ano. Wala po tayong gulay, pero meron ata tayo, siguro kasi may ginamit tayo Spanish words, it's called alcachopas. Ano. At hindi natin masyadong staple lang, hindi natin madala kasi hindi naman siya masyadong lumalago dito. Siguro sa Baguio baka meron mga tanim. Pero po kung makita mo yung ganung observation ni Joseph Hutchison sa artichoke spoke so much of how he sees the value of the vegetable. Pero bukod doon, what is already in his heart. Ano ba yung nararamdaman niya? Dito pa lang nararamdaman ko na kung ano yung sinasabi ng puso niya. Parang baka meron siyang mga desire na gustong lumipad, hindi siya makalipad. So, and I feel so because for many years, I have so many desires. And maybe you have so many desires and you want to fly, but then pinabibigat ka ng pakpak na yun. You cannot fly because of that weight. Ano po? So ito pa lang speaks so much of our truth. Ano? Another favorite is this poem by Ezra Pound, published in 1913. This one is it's entitled "Station in the Metro," and probably he was watching in Paris these people in the train, you know? And it goes like this: "The station in the metro, apparition of the faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bough." This one is so defining in his experience as a poet because when he published this, it became a manifesto of the modernist movement sa US, sa American poetry. Before, masyadong flowery yung description nila of words, and then later on, bigla yung ni-revolutionize ni Ezra Pound. Two liners with this very striking image. You can see it right there. Para siyang parang luma siyang picture na kinuhanan sa Kodak camera. Wala pang camera po nun masyado noong time niya, no? Pero click, nakita niya itong image na to. He was very inspired by haiku. So ang laki po ng influence ng Japanese poetry sa poetry na to, ano po. So it's a witnessing of that. Ano. And speaking of haiku, this three-liner by Kobayashi Isa, one of the masters, written in the 1700s. It goes like this: the snow is melting, and the village is flooded with children. Di ba? Parang naramdaman mo na magi-spring na. This is a transition of spring and winter and spring, ano? And this is so beautiful image, sa totoo lang. Parang when I read it, something touches in your heart. Hindi ko siya ma-explain. So, because the poem transmits the energy, that wordless, ano? And then, as if, when you read this, as if you are in the moment when Isa is looking at these kids in this village, transitioning from winter to spring. That's beautiful po. So before we go to that, as you can see, these examples are pure witnessing, pure attention to things, to things that we don't see, the wordless that is there. Wini-witness natin siya. Ano po. So let's go back to your description about poetry, ano po kanina. If you can read it again and try to feel that energy in your text, ano po, in your words. Do you need more or less words in your text, ano po? What new realizations do you have, ano po? So going back to it is, in a way, again, there's a unique expression that you have. You have also a unique relationship with words. That's your personal expression, your truth, ano po? That's your insight, your witnessing, your senses, your imagination. So, mapansin niyo po yung mga description ninyo. I remember an exercise that I did na ma-mind map lang yung isang word, let's say apple, ano. And then what they did is to mind map a lot of things that you associate with apple, and no two person will have the same description of apple. Iba-iba yung lalabas sa kanila. Why so? Because we have different experience of that object. So This is why that uniqueness is our strength in writing poetry. Ano po. Okay, so as a writing exercise, so you have to ready your notebooks po and journal and your digital notebooks. Okay, so I want you to look around in your room, in your house, maybe in your garden, wherever you are right now. Look around, find an object you ignore. And for some reason, it will strike you right now. Parang, meron siyang sinasabi, ganyan. Parang tumawag siya ng attention mo. Okay po. Notice and observe, no? And describe it in detail. Okay po. Relate your thoughts and feelings. Ibig sabihin, as you write it, as you write your details, there are thoughts and feelings that you're gonna feel, and then write them down. Ano po? So please remember, focus on your chosen subject. And don't write a complete poem. Hindi po tayo magsusulat agad ng tula. At first I discourage people to write complete poem, no? Bakit? Kasi po it's not about creating that. It's about, again, poem is not words. Poetry is not words, no? It's the wordless. So we are in touching with that, no? Yun po yung ginagawa natin sa exercise. So write every word, don't edit. And don't think that you're writing a complete poem. Just write them down. Yun po yung pinakamahalaga po. So I'll give you, do we have time, Karen? It's okay, no?
Okay. We have 20 minutes.
Okay, sige. Siguro mga 2 minutes for this. No? You don't have to, pwede naman po ituloy yan in your own time. So I'll ring my bell and let's take a deep breath. Okay. So just scribble down. Sulat lang po. Wala pong pressure. So yeah. Okay. By the way, medyo patapos na rin. So thank you. So no need to complete it, no need to finish it. Ano po? Just take your time, and actually you can pause and then you can do it later on after the class. Ang mahalaga lang po is that you have this pure attention to that object. Ano po? So, and your subject. Whatever that is, it's an object, it's an event, it's an experience. Ano po? It's a memory, for example. Yung kanina, answering a question, maybe something that you've watched somewhere else. May bagay ka nakita dyan sa, ayan, yung isa po natin example, nakita mo sa paligid, ano, and pinili mo, nag-strike sa'yo, then you're putting your full attention to it. Ano. Okay. And what's next? You sense and experience the object or your subject. Ano. It is as if it's happening right now. If it's an object, for example, what makes it alive? Ano yung sinasabi po niya? Nagsasalita ba siya? Gumagalaw ba siya? Di ba? Meron ba siyang nararamdaman kagaya mo? So you are paying attention to this phenomenon before you that nobody can see except you. And does it say something to you? So may kino-communicate ba itong subject mo? Ano po? So take note of this process. Ano po? And okay. So bago po ako dumako doon, just write down everything that you have thought of. Ano man yung lumalabas na words, wag po kayo mag-edit, let it be. Okay. And And then pwede nyo ituloy yan later. No? So ang mahalaga lang is and then mapapansin niyo you're writing down, if you read it again, makikita mo merong unique na lumalabas na line. So if you can share it on the chat box, I'm glad to read it. So kung nahiya naman po kayo, that's okay. So wala nang pong pressure tayo dito. No? The direction is for you to have this kind of sensibility with everything around you as a potent source of poetry and ideas actually. So you can use it hindi lang po sa pagtula kundi sa maraming bagay din. Let me share my poems and process. Ano po? Ito po ay yung first tula ko na sinulat ng 2008. Ano? And then I remember I watched, so ito i-relate ko lang yung nangyayari sa inyo habang nag-exercise dun sa nangyari sa akin before. Ano po? So I remember I mentioned this in the live. Ano? I'd like to talk about a bit about this. I remember po nung time na sinulat ko to, kapapanood ko lang ng documentary on stars. Ano? So yung mga stars parang sobrang layo pala ng isa. So sa constellation, ang lalayo pala ng pagitan ng mga millions of light years. Ano? Yun yung pagitan nila. And then pag tiningnan mo sa itaas, one night I look at the sky, and then pag nung tiningnan ko po, parang halos dulo-dulo lang ng ng hinlalaki ko. So mula dulo hanggang dulo. Ganun lang po kalayo yung dalawang stars na yun. Pero sobra silang infinite pala. So nung pinagnilayan ko po yun, I was watching the star, biglang lumabas po itong lines na to. Yung daliri, yung walang hanggan, of course yung dalawang bituin. Sobra pong kung ano yung naobserbahan ko, ito po yung lumabas. Okay. So sukat at tugma sa pagitan ng dalawang bituin. Gadaliri ang walang hanggan. Sa pagitan ng dalawang bituin, gadaliri ang walang hanggan. Gadaliri po ay, kasi we have this way of writing na parang, no? Instead of saying parang, pwede nating dugtungan ng ga. So, gabraso, halimbawa, kasing haba ng braso. Gabinti, kasing haba ng binti. Gadaliri, kasing haba ng daliri. So this one is really parang striking na observation of that. Ano po. Another example po is this, nung nasa dagat ako sa may Sambales. So nagtatampisaw din ako. And then I felt na parang nasa nagpe-pray ako sa dagat. And then lumabas yung word na banal. Of course, yung dagat ng buhangin na naobserbahan ko. At yung ginagawa ko mismo, nagtatampisaw ako doon. And the feeling of being there, like a prayer. So ito po yung tabing dagat. Banal sa talampakan, ang dagat at buhangin, at ang pagtatampisaw ay isang panalangin. So, ito isa sa mga favorite ko kasi ramdam na ramdam ko yan nung naroon po ako sa moment na yan. It's sacred, so sacred to be in the beach, And then you're seeing the lapping of waves. Okay. Ito po, naikwento ko rin last time. Nagsusulat ako noon, new moon nung time na yun. So, nag-scribble lang ako ng marami kasi I'm observing the sky, the moon. And then these words, as I scribbled a lot of words, trying to describe what I see, na-simplify po siya eventually with these words. So, new moon. For centuries, this night has a luminous mind, still without a face, still without a pair of eyes. Interesting sa akin kasi nabanggit ko nga kay Karen na yung pair of eyes nito ay naroon po sa isang tula na to. So, nagka-insight lang ako na nag-uusap kami sa live. Tama ba, Karen? Interesting, yes. Interesting yung insight na yun sobra. Parang doon lang siya biglang nag-download. So, I find this very magical whenever I discover this connection. So, thank you. Ayan po. Okay, so halos matapos na po tayo. So, I have key points for you. Yes.
Somebody shared.
Yes, sige po.
Shared.
Please, thank you. Z, hello.
Z, do you want to read it? Do you want to read?
Okay
po. And read your poetry?
Yes, Z, thank you. Good to hear your voice. Yeah.
Naiyak ako dito, Kuya Rem. Grabe,
Sige.
ako.
Sige lang.
Ginhawa. Nakakahawa, walang kawawa sa ginhawa. Maraming
Amen.
salamat po.
Salamat, Z. Oo. Walang kawawa. Totoo, no? Kasi ginhawa talaga is really our inner state, no? If I'm going as parang thank you Z for this, ano. Tama-tama Argel, we can code Z for this. Kasi nag-uusap kami ni Argel sa araw ba't ginhawa eh. Di ba?
Meron pang
Ah,
meron
sige
pang
po.
nag-send sa akin. Kaya lang, ayan, Ayi, do you wanna read it?
Yes.
Kasi
Ay,
mas
hello.
iba pa rin kasi pag yung nagsulat yung nagbabasa, di ba?
Oo nga.
Oo.
Sige po.
Yung
Ay.
hook lang kasi yung nakakuha ng pansin ko. Tapos description
Yes.
lang, di ba?
Oh,
Hindi pa naman
description
pula.
lang. Oo, hindi pa naman kumpleto.
Ayun.
Walang problema.
So,
Yes.
yung lumabas sa akin, sabit, kapit ng mahigpit, dikit
Yes.
sa dingding, nakakabit.
Yun. Tingnan mo, eat, no? Ito pala yung chapter 3. Pero interesting. Interesting yung yung tawag dito, yung sunod-sunod na it, no? Yeah. Thank you for this, Ai. Actually, pagka nilaro mo pa to ng konti, may makikita ka na eh. Yung kung balikan mo uli siya. Kasi kung hindi pa siya kompleto at this point, then babalikan mo siya. Tapos i-journey mo lang yung yung na-witness mo, and then let the words fit their place, magdidikit-dikit talaga sila sigurado. Salamat. Yeah.
Pwede rin mag-share. Tinamad ako mag-type eh.
Yes, Argel. Sige, please. Thank you.
Oo. Actually, siya yung pinapa-describe mo yung poetry. Sa akin, naalala ko yung, sabi ko, image. Kasi
Yes.
I used to write stage plays naman. I always start striking image. Ito yung image. So, ako sa memory. Pinagsimulan din to ng play ko noon. Paslit, nag-iiyak sa loob ng bus. Nagwawala, nawawala. Mga matatanda, walang napapansin, nakatingin sa kawalan. Yun.
Yes. Oh my. Yeah, thank you. Naalala ko na nasa bus din ako na may umiiyak. Alam mo yun, bigla ko lahat dumating yung image at memory na yun. Thank you so much. Wow. Yeah, ito this one ang gandang germ for poetry na halos mabubuo mo na siya. So thank you. Thank you sa striking image, sobra. Poet halos buo na siya. Oo. Yeah.
Rem, Ayi wants
Thank
to share another. Pwede ba raw mag-share ng tula connected sa
Yes,
ginhawa?
please po. Thank you. Yes, Ayi, thank you.
Hello.
Ay.
Narinig ba ako?
Yes, we can hear you. Apo.
Oh, ang lakas ng ulan dito. Nasa Alfonso ako.
Okay. I hope you're okay there. Sige po.
Ayos naman. Actually, matagal na tong tula, pero kasi, bigla ko siyang naalala dahil nabanggit mo si Datu Vic nung interview. Tapos
yes,
sinulat ko ito nung nandun ako sa kanila. Tapos, sinulat ko ito nung nandun ako sa kanila, 4 a.m. Tapos, ang pinag-uusapan kasi ginhawa. So, tumira ako sa Davao ng 22 years. So, kabalo po ko magbisaya. and yung nito, yung approach kasi dito, ginhawa siya. Parang madaling araw yon, tapos ang medyo takbo yung isip ko, and then I was trying to calm myself, and then I was doing deep breathing. So ito na siya.
Thank you for sharing.
Wait lang, ayan. Sandaling kasalukuyan. Shh. Tigil malikot na isipan. Shh. Yakapin ang kasalukuyan. Shh. Iukit sa damdaming kay buturan ang binubulong ng kalawakan. Nakaraang pilit kumakawala, bagamat sinlayo ng pulang tala. Alaala ng karanasang ubod ng sakit, nagbabalik na tila di mawaglit. Mga karanasang di pa man mahawakan, nilililok ng perpekto ng isipan, matingkad at kapanapanabik na larawan, hinuhugot kang papalayo mula sa kasalukuyan. Ngunit ang kasalukuyan, ito'y buhanging unti-unti at dahan-dahang kumakawala mula sa iyong mga dalirit kamay, maaring tanawin habang tinatangay ng hangin. Ngunit mas mainam na iyong basain at hulmahin.
Yes.
Habang naririyan pa sa iyong palad ang kasalukuyan, ito lang ang tunay na mapanghahawakan. Kaya't huminahon na maligalig na isipan at manatili sa sandaling kasalukuyan.
Bumalik siya doon sa last line. First and last na salamat. Oh my God. Oo nga, no? Naginhawa in it. Naginhawa in the tulaan. Salamat dun sa ang ganda ng innovation nung in between na humihinga. Alam mo yun. To me, that's a reminder what poetry is. It's always breathing. It's always alive. So salamat sa paghinga nasa tula mo, Ai. Thank you for sharing with us. Sana mabasa ko buo. Yay! Thank you.
Nasa chat box, Rem.
Talaga ito ba? Sorry, hindi ko nakita.
Sinare ni Ai.
I-PM ko sa'yo.
Thank you.
I-PM
Sige.
ko.
Salamat. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Ayan. Salamat, Ai. And thank you for sa mga nag-share. So yun, may time pa tayo for So sige po. Ayan. Salamat, Ai. Amen. Maginhawa. Okay, so hinga po tayo lahat. Ayan. Inhale. And exhale. Sa babo, inhale. And exhale. So, tatlong key points po ulit. First is that poetry is not just words, it's the wordless. I keep on saying this because, again, it's not the mystical or esoteric. It is something so natural. Whenever we look around, for example, when we read the poetry like Ais and Argels kanina and Z, we feel that it is a witnessing that is beyond words. We cannot see what they saw, no. But then we are in touch with that energy. The words are carriers of that. So if it's just words, and we can write so many words, ang dami-daming salita sa paligid natin, but then it's only poetry that can carry that. So it's the wordless. Poetry is all around us. Napakadaming pwedeng potential source ng poetry. Tumingin ka lang sa paligid, ang dami ng pwedeng tulaan. Sa katawan mo pa lang, for example, kung may peklat ka, sugat mo, pwede mong tulaan yan. So ang daming pwedeng source. Ito po, sa mga exercises ko po, madalas yung electric fan, madalas namin mapagdiskitahan na object. Marami ata akong sessions na nagawa ko, madalas electric fan kasi yung nasa harap natin agad pagka nagsusulat, nakakatawa. So parang ang dami ko ata sulat na one example is yung two-liner ko sa electric fan. May lamig ang ventilador sa init ng reklamador. So so di ba? Tula agad. So ayun, the irony of things, no? May makikita ka nakakatawa. Sobrang vibrant ng poetry around us. The question is, how much do we pay attention? How much do we pay attention? So it really calls our attention, and the true poet has this deep and pure attention to whatever around him or her. Okay, so matatapos na po tayo. So again, poetry is the art of pure attention. It is the art of expressing your truth, and it's the art of writing the wordless. So So tandaan lang po natin yung tatlong yan. The art of pure attention, the art of expressing your truths, the art of writing the wordless. So as an ending po, I'm gonna read this tula. It's a tanaga po about poetry that I wrote 2019 World Poetry Day. Ano? March 21 ng World Poetry Day po. So this is Tunas, which is the Tagalog for lotus. Ano? And Cebuano as well. Cebuano and Tagalog for lotus. Hindi natin ginagamit pero nasa name ng barangay Tunasan sa Muntinlupa. So, kasi malapit siya sa dagat. Malamang maraming lotus ng time na yun. So basahin ko po. Tunas. Sa mababaw na putik ng maraming salita, bumubukad na tunas ang tula ng Makata. In the shallow mud of countless words, a poet's poem is a blooming lotus. Marami pong salamat sa inyo, and if you have questions, we can have some time to explore. Ano po? So, thank you.
Thank
Salamat
you so
po sa
much,
pagdating at sa
Ren.
essential sa inyo.
At ang daming lumabas na mga
Hey.
Makata ngayong gabi. Nakakatuwa. So you have
Opo.
questions. I'll
Opo.
stop the recording.